So, what is up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel once again. I appreciate having you here, and this is the question and answers video. This is the Christmas special. I did promise it would be a Christmas special, and that's what it's going to be. And you need three things to make it a Christmas special. It's not the content, it's basically to fool you guys into thinking it's Christmas. Because I possibly could have recorded this in May, but it's actually... didn't focus. Anyway, it's actually the 23rd of December, so this is a Christmas special. To make it a Christmas special, we need three things. First of all, we need Christmas lights. Check, Christmas lights. 2, we need Christmas music. And number 3, I have to change into a Christmas jumper. So, you didn't really think I was going to change into a Christmas jumper, did you? I'm not some kind of... Right, so it's time to crack on with the answers to the questions. I'm going to go from the bottom to the top. I've got my laptop here. That's the reason I'm going to keep looking this way to read the questions, and I'm going to try and answer them as best as I can. Now, there's not that many questions, to be honest. I was expecting a little bit more, but not to worry. I kind of understand why. I did a question and answer session not too long ago, but since then we've doubled in subscribers. So thank you to everyone that's joined and made this channel a little bit bigger. I do appreciate it. Hopefully we can hit that 8K before New Year's Day. We're not far away, about 60, so fingers crossed we can do that. Anyway, let's crack on with these questions. And number 1 is Hazza. And the question is, are you going to do a meetup and ride out with your followers? Now, I do meetups. If you watch my channel, there's 2 meetups I do. I do the beginning of season meetup, the boss, and the end of season, the EOS. I shall leave the link to those videos down below so you can check those out. I do that. Ride outs, I don't really do. I don't like big group ride outs. There's always some idiot that it up for all of us, so I don't tend to do that. It would be nice to get a small group together of people I can trust and go out and ride. That's not a problem, but I don't really want my name associated with hooliganism. Although if you do that, that's fine, go out and do your stuff, but just don't do it under my name. That's the reason I don't really do big ride outs. Not that anyone will come along anyway, but I hope that answered your question. Right, number 2 is from John Anderson. What is your real employment, Mr. Fish, and how old are you? Right, I'm a train driver. There you go. How old am I? 47. Can't really do a lot more with that question. Oh, bit of Red Bull. Keeps you going. By the way, if you're watching Red Bull, you can send me a crate of the sugar-free ones. Right now, Mr. Reed 1991. Grom, monkey or cub, and why? What are the major pros and cons of each of the 3 bikes? Love your vids, by the way. Thank you very much, Mr. Reed. Really appreciate that one. Grom, monkey, cub, and why? Wouldn't be the Grom, simply because I've owned one, and I tend not to own the same bike twice, although I did with the 500X. I don't know. I'd like to have both, to be honest, but I would probably go cub. Simply because the monkey's based on the Grom, yet the cub is a whole new thing for me, so I'd probably go cub and customize it. Pros and cons of each of the 3 bikes. The biggest con of each is it's 125 and they're very small. The pros of all the bikes, they're fun. And that's what I like about biking. I like to have fun. Right, now moving on to Richard Schill. What was the real reason you chopped your tracer in for another 500X? I've got a 500X and thought about a tracer. Keep up the good work. Thank you again for that kind comment at the end there. I didn't actually chop in my tracer for another 500X. I chopped in my tracer for, it's further away than I thought, the Africa Twin. So that's why I did that, because that's an Africa Twin. That is my dream bike, a bike that I've always wanted. I bought the tracer to kind of save some money. That backfired, lost a bit of money, but I went for my dream bike instead, and all's well that ends well. Right, next question is by Phil480, a friend of mine. He comes to the meetups, and I'm going to get down to one of his chip shop runs at some point. Go and check him out. He's a YouTuber as well, Phil480, does some real good stuff. Who would win in a big cat fight between Chester Cheetah and Tony the Tiger, and would you rather have the power of invisibility or the power to fly? Oh yeah, I forgot I did the would you rather questions as well. So that's the first one that's come up, so thanks for that, Phil. I'd even forgotten myself. Right, who would win in a big cat fight between Chester Cheetah and Tony the Tiger? I don't know who Chester Cheetah is. Let me Google it. So I am going to go with Tony the Tiger. I was going to do that thing where he's great and try and do the impression, but I would look like a knob, so I'm not going to do that. Although technically most of the time I do. And to answer the would you rather question, invisibility or power to fly? Power to fly is a difficult one because 1, how fast can I fly? How high can I fly? And 2, am I radar detectable? Because I don't want to get shot down. And invisibility, I'd go for invisibility because then I could sneak into places. You know, you can go to concerts without paying. I know that sounds cheap, but invisibility is good. I like that. But then if you're invisible, you can overhear conversations, people talking about you, and probably behind your back, they're never going to be that great. So maybe I wouldn't like that. I don't know. They have their pros and cons. Maybe I can fly invisible. That way I'm not radar detectable. Combine the two. Right, the next question is by Paul Newman. Now I'm guessing it's not the Paul Newman. I used to work with the Paul Newman as well. I don't know if it's that guy. If it is you and I used to work with you, leave a comment below. Right, and it just simply says CB500X, CRF 250L, Rally, my baby there, or the Royal Enfield Himalaya as an only bike. Wouldn't go for the Royal Enfield, simply because I'm a Honda man. You might have guessed that. I quite like Hondas, I love the build quality. CB500X or 250 Rally. Do you know what? Having this thing, needs a bit of a clean, having this thing for a while has proved to me I only need a 250 to survive in life. This is almost redundant. My Africa Twin, I hardly use it now. I'm all on the 250. I'm all about that 250. So it'll either be the 250 or the 500X. If it's the new 500X that's coming out in January, I'll hold off before I answer the question. But if it's the current generation, I'm gonna go 250L Rally, simply because I can go off-road and have a lot more fun on that. Outside the, that's a hard name to read. Outside the wire vet. It's not that hard actually. Once you split it up, it's quite simple. Outside the wire vet. And it said, if a woodchuck, I'll see where you're going. If a woodchuck could chuck wood, how much would a woodchuck, I shouldn't be doing this with a hangover. Basically, how much would he chuck within 1 hour? To be honest with that, I don't really give a Part 2 of his question is, what was your best riding trip? Now, I would say, probably this year, United States of America. Although I was ill, I rode through some fantastic scenery. The bike was a bit questionable, the Harley Davidson, but I went through some magnificent countryside. So I'd say probably this year, the Harley Davidson trip to the USA. Right, next question is by MJD Life. And the first question they've asked is, would you trade in your Honda Rally for the new 450L? If it was the same price and a straight swap, yes, in a heartbeat. I love that 450L. I thought it was a fantastic bike. Yeah, it's a bit restricted, but once you understand what it's about, and it's not actually part of the L family, that's the 1000L, that's a 250L Rally, it's not in that same family. It's a competition bike that they've stuck road stuff on to make it road legal, and they've just about got away with it. It needs freeing up with a horsepower, we'll all admit that. Price is a bit steep, but if it was a straight swap, in a heartbeat, 450L. Another question by the same guys. If you had to have one meal for the rest of your life, breakfast, lunch and dinner, what would it be? Is that one meal as in, I can only have breakfast, I can only have lunch, or I can only have dinner? If that's the question, probably breakfast. But if I can only have one meal and I had to eat it for breakfast, lunch and dinner, no matter what it is, I'm going to be sick of it within 1 week, I'd probably have a nice spicy chicken burger. That's pretty good. Right, let's read the question from Drago's Dreamer 1989. The question is, do you think one could live happily with the Honda CRF 250 Rally if it were the only bike one could afford? Very posh there. Right, to answer your question, yes, I could quite happily live with the 250L Rally. It's a fantastic bike, it's a great all-rounder, as long as you don't want speed. I've said many times before that you don't need speed to have fun. And this thing off-road is great as long as you get rid of those tyres. As you've seen in some of my videos, these tyres do not keep you upright in the mud. It's definitely not my skill, obviously. But it's a great bike, does a decent amount of distance to a tank, it's very comfortable. Seat could do with a little bit of tweaking for long distance, but you can go around the world on it and you can live with it every day, no problem. Right, next question by Bulldog Gaz, and he says, when are you coming over to Germany to meet Andy Man Cam, the likeable rider, and myself? Now, I met Bulldog Gaz earlier in the year. He was doing a tour of the motorcycle cafes when he came over with Andy Man Cam. Andy Man Cam organised this trip and ride out to meet subscribers, vloggers, that sort of thing, and did a few cafes. So I met them down at Loomis with a few others, and we rode back up to Box Hill, and it was a great day out. It's very, very warm as well, which was fantastic. So he's asking when I'm going to come over to Germany. I'd love to come over to Germany. I've heard the roads over there are fantastic. I've seen your guys' videos over there. I've seen Andy Man Cam's videos, and the roads look spectacular. So I am planning on doing that. I will definitely get over to Germany at some point. That's a promise. I'm going to say it on camera now. That is a promise. Right, next question is by Matt Rowe, and the question is, do you get frustrated when you watch a movie and the sound effects people put are a generic bike sound and completely ruins the scene? New Mission Impossible movie is a good example. The movies do this a hell of a lot, put the wrong sound bike to the engine. Now, to everyone watching, or normal people watching that are not into bikes, it doesn't mean a thing. But if you're a biker, yes, it pisses me off beyond belief when you've got, as you say, you've got a twin cylinder bike and they use an inline 4 sound over the top. Or worse still, they make an inline 4 sound like a Harley Davidson. Pants. Absolutely shit movie making, people. Stop doing it. Stop it. And another thing I hate, and this is cars as well, is when they do that wheel spin noise, the screech when they're wheel spinning on tarmac, but they dub it over when they're on dirt. I mean, who the f believes that? Right, next question is Mark Smallwood, and it says, what is your bike riding and ownership history? I need a Red Bull for this one. This is a long one. I actually did a video a while back, probably about 2 years ago, and it named all the bikes I had up to that point. So I'm going to quickly try and run through it. If I miss out a few, I apologise. You can go back and watch that. I forget what it's called. I can't even remember what the video is called. It was so long ago. But let's start at the beginning. And I had a Thomas, which was a 50cc 2-stroke scooter thing. Then after that, I had a Suzuki DR125S. Oh, I bought a Ducati 750 Super Sport. That was my first proper bike. Wrote that off. Had a CB400. Wrote that off. You see a theme here. Then after that, I bought a 1200 Bandit. After the Bandit, I bought a Gilera 180 SP 2-stroke scooter. Mental bike. That was crazy. I also had a Husqvarna 610 Supermoto, which was a company kind of bike at the time. I was working in the motorcycle industry. Then after that, I bought a smart car because I gave up for a couple of years because I had a big crash on the scooter. Not my fault. And then I went back into biking. I bought a Benelli 125 Velvet scooter, then a KLR 650. Then after the KLR 650, I bought a Harley Davidson Sportster. I swapped the Sportster for a CBF 600. And then swapped that for a Honda Silverwing scooter, the big 600 scooter. I'm trying to recollect in my mind here. I'm trying to get them in the right order. Then the scooter I swapped for Suzuki SV650. The SV650 I got rid of for a Honda PS125 scooter. I know, I do some weird things with bikes. I just fancy stuff, so I kind of mix and match and keep changing stuff. Then after the PS, I had an SH300, which was another scooter. After the SH300, I got a Yamaha XT660 Tenere. Smashed that to bits. That's when I had my big accident back in 2011. Then I gave up for a little while because of various things, and when I got back into it, I bought a BV350 Piaggio, another scooter. Then I swapped that and got the Honda CB500X. After the 500X, I also had the Honda Grom as well. So while I had the 500X, I also bought the Honda Grom. Then I swapped the 500X for the Yamaha Tracer 700. That went kind of pear-shaped, had a lot of problems with that, so took that back. So after the Tracer, I went out and swapped it for this thing, which is the Africa Twin. I've had this nearly 2 years now, coming up to 2 years. Got rid of the Honda Grom at some point, was it earlier this year or late last year? Bought another 500X. Then I rode this, the 250 Rally, fell in love with this, so I swapped the 500X for the Rally. So this is where we're at the moment, Africa Twin, 250 Rally. Plus I had some company bikes like R1, ZX12R, Phaser, and a few other things that I rode intermittently while I was in the business. So I hope that answers your question. Bit long answer, but that's just the way it goes. Right, next question is by Hippo Drones. Good mate of mine. Comes to all of my meetups, and we're going to get and go off-roading because he's just bought an off-road bike. So we're going to go out and get muddy at some point and probably fall off together. So the question is, would you rather green lane the Africa Twin or track day the CRF 250? I'd rather green lane the Africa Twin, because if I track day the 250, it'll probably end up with me in hospital. There's probably a higher chance of me, I don't know actually, I'd be pretty shit on the Africa Twin off-road. Africa Twin off-road though, because I think it'd just be more fun. Right, and it's, if you could only have one bike and it couldn't be red or a Honda, I don't know where you get these ideas from, but if it couldn't be a Honda and it couldn't be a red, what would tickle your fancy and why? I quite like the Triumph Tiger in this style of bike, in this sort of like adventure style. I like the Triumph Tiger because I rode one in the US, not this year, year before, and I did a few thousand miles on that. Found it really nice and really comfortable, and I love the triple engine. But if it wasn't an adventure style bike, I would go for the BMW R9T. Absolutely love them. I rode the Scrambler and did a test ride on that on knobbly tyres. Didn't like that at all in the wet, so I'd probably go for the standard one, chop it up and customise it, or maybe Triumph again, a Bonneville, and customise it. I do like the bobber. I don't know why, because I shouldn't, but I do. There's something weird about it that I like. I also like the Harley Davidson. It's the one of the cheaper ones, not the Sportster. It's the Fat Bob, Street Bob, Street Guide. I'll put a picture of it on the screen. I like that one, and again I'd customise it and do it up. But I don't know why I like it. I think I like it because I want to attack it with a chainsaw. Not a chainsaw, hacksaw. Although chainsaw would do. Right, so next question is by Old Man Tony. Again, this guy came to one of my meetups, not this year, last year. Fantastic guy. And it just simply says, I wouldn't have thought there was anything left for us to find out. This is probably because I've done a few of these question and answer sessions. But as I said, I was doing it because, one, there's more subscribers now. We've doubled the subscribers this year. We went from 4K in March and we're now coming up to 8K coming into the new year. So that's pretty good. So it's for the new guys more than the old guys. It doesn't matter if the questions are being repeated. The answers might have changed. But I get where you're coming from. And two, it's winter, so I'm not out on the bike. So I've got to find an idea for a video somewhere, mate. Right, so next question is by my good friend, Mr. Ghost Ninja. Those of you that don't know, he's the guy I stayed with when I went over to the USA this year. I stayed with him and his family. So thank you very much for that. Really appreciate that. And we went out riding, went down to San Diego and various other places like Big Bear, some of the lakes. Took me on some fantastic roads. Even though I was on the Harley Davidson, took me on some fantastic roads. Also got me lost and tried to kill me a few times. But apart from that, sound bloke. Go and check him out. And his question is, how did you introduce Kenny into Brad? I would love to hear the detailed story. Now, I don't think we got time to go into it on this channel. I think Brad and Kenny should set up their own channel, the Brad and Kenny Show. I think they should get together in harmony and just admit their love for each other. I don't even know how this came about. Basically, there's this guy called Brad and there's this guy called Kenny. Now, Kenny is in my videos. He's got the new R1. Fantastic guy. Went out riding with him and his dad down in San Diego. Great day out. But somehow we got into this thing where Kenny and this guy called Brad are a thing. I don't know how we got there. I'm sure it's in the video somewhere. We can't really remember. The whole thing's been sort of like fogged up over the last few months and it's been escalated. But if there is Brad out there, Kenny's waiting for you. And he's in love. Next question is by T. Howard, and the question is, are you related to Ogre? Now, I did see this question when it came up, so I googled Ogre, and it's a cartoon on the back of a magazine. I can't even remember the back of the magazine or which magazine it was. I'm pretty sure this cartoon is a standalone cartoon, but I've never read it, so I don't know. I don't know if it's an insult or it's a compliment. I'll take it as a compliment. It's probably an insult, but no, I'm not. It says like he's your uncle or something. Thanks from a Yank grins. So, I don't know, maybe there's a cartoon where he actually speaks like an actual cartoon on the TV, I don't know, and maybe he sounds like me. I mean, looking at the pictures, hopefully it doesn't look like me, but I should put him on the screen. You can make up your own mind. Right, next question is by Silver Surfer Tim. Again, I know this guy, I met him over in California a couple of times, a sound guy. And the first question is, If you make a motor vlog and nobody watches it, are you still a motor vlogger? Yes, you're still a motor vlogger. You might not be a popular one, but you're definitely a motor vlogger. And it said, would you rather stay at the Desert Lodge for a month or ride a Grom across the USA? So for those of you that don't know, I go to a thing, I've been there the last 3 years, called the Southern California Motorvlogger Meetup, SCMM for short. And it's hosted by Suburban Delinquent. And the after party is set in a hotel called Desert Lodge, which is pretty shit, to be honest. I mean, when I was checking in last year, there were cockroaches checking out with their suitcases saying, I wouldn't stay there, mate, it is shit. That's basically the context of this. It is a really poor hotel, but it hosts this event. It suits the party. I think because you can get away with more in a shit hotel, so therefore it kind of works with the party. Anyway, to coincide that with the actual question is, would I rather stay there for a month or ride the Grom across the USA? I'd rather ride the Grom across the USA. I'd ride any bike across the USA. Probably not a 50cc, but a 125, yeah, I'd go for it. I'd give it a go. It might take me a while, like a few years, but I'd have a go. So now we're moving on to the final question, and it's by Trekkie Delirium. And it says, Mr. Fish, as you own 2 CB500Xs, what do you think of the awesome upgrades made by Honda on the new CB500X 2019? Can you please make a review in the next months of the new 500X when it comes out in the UK? It would be appreciated. Thanks from Montreal. No problem. I am planning on doing a test ride on the 500X, I think the new 650 Naked, the CBR 650, and I think the CB500F is coming out, and maybe a new CBR 500. Basically all the new bikes that Honda are going to release next year, 2019. I've been told I'm going to get the drop on and we're going to take them out, test ride, give my opinion on them. Now, I've looked at the CB500, the specs on it, the new one, and it looks pretty good. So yes, I'm going to test ride it and do a video on it and put it up on YouTube and all the other bikes that are coming out next year. So I'm looking forward to that, should be good. Right, so that about wraps it up for this one. I have one more video coming out this year before the end of the year, and that's going to be a rewind special, a mashup. See what I did there? A mashup of all the videos, all the fun times I've had, all the bikes I've ridden, the places I've been, the people I've met, and that will be a compilation just bam together. It's taken me a while. It's taken me 4 days to do 6 minutes so far, but hopefully I can get that out for Boxing Day. So if you want to check that out, don't forget to hit that bell, the notifications, and that will let you know when that's available. Also, don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share, to do all those things that you need to do. You know I love you all. Stay safe. See you in 2019. Fish out.
Get all your bags, get out my house. I don't want your stuff around. I never did you wrong, but you did me wrong. So go ahead, get gone. Get all your bags, get out my house. I don't want your stuff around. I never did you wrong, but you did me wrong. So go ahead and get gone.